Welcome to the Love Your Real Life podcast. I'm Faith Lauterbach, and this is a space to help you heal, rebuild, and create a life you truly love, even if it looks different than you imagined. Each week, I'll be sharing tools, encouragement, and real conversations about what it means to move forward after betrayal, heartbreak, or simply life not going as planned. I am honored to walk alongside you and help you love your real life. Well, hello, and welcome back to the Love Your Real Life podcast. I'm so glad that you're here. It's so hard to believe we're wrapping up July and getting ready to welcome August. These monthly What I'm Noticing Right Now episodes have become some of my favorites because they give me a chance to slow down, reflect on what's been happening in my own life as I prepare for this episode, share some things that I've been loving, and hopefully encourage you to pause and reflect on your own season as well. Before we dive in, if you're listening to this when it comes out, I want to let you know that my real life monthly planning session is coming up on Wednesday, August 5th. As we're reflecting on July today, I hope that you'll also begin thinking about what you want August to look and feel like. In this monthly planning session, we'll go much deeper into that, and I'd absolutely love to have you join us. So I will include the link in the show notes for that. Okay, now let's jump into this episode, what I've been noticing. So if you've been following along, you know that July looked quite a bit different than I expected. I had rotator cuff surgery earlier this month. And, if you know anybody or if you've been through rotator cuff surgery, you know that the recovery is long. If you had asked me back in June or maybe May before I knew I was going to have this surgery, I probably would have pictured it looking a lot different. Instead, I've spent a lot of time wearing this immobilizer sling, going to physical therapy, figuring out how to do everyday tasks with one arm, and learning patience in a way I wasn't expecting. I've had to pause a lot of things that I normally do, like teaching yoga, going on long hikes. My backpacking trip that I normally go on each year, I had to decide to not go on it, which was really, really hard. Things like spending time with my grandkids looks different now. A lot of things look different. I wouldn't have necessarily chosen to experience this, but also it's teaching me a lot. One of my favorite questions, whenever life throws me something unexpected, where we normally would go to, or where I would normally go to, why is this happening to me? I try to shift it to why is this happening for me? And this does not mean that when you shift a question in this way, doesn't mean that you want what's happening to be happening. It just means that we're not going to argue with reality. It is happening, and what lessons could be there for me. Probably the biggest lesson I've learned, and I'm learning, is the importance of being present. If you've been with me for a while, you know that my word of the year is presence. And I always find it really funny how our word of the year always seems to show up in ways we never expect when we first make that word. It reminds me a little bit about each backpacking trip I've been on. I've kind of learned, and we've learned as a group, that something we're not anticipating is going to happen. As much as plan and preparation we put into things, I think that's, backpacking always mimics life for me. There's always going to be something on the trail, whether that's the actual trail or the trail of life, that we aren't expecting. So I think probably most people could relate to this. There's moments in life that we want to fast forward. Okay. With this surgery and the recovery, I will tell you, There's been a lot of those moments that I find I start thinking, I want to fast forward this. It'll be so much better when I can drive again, when I can sleep in my bed instead of a recliner, when I can exercise and just live normally, when I don't have to think about this sling and this arm every day and every minute of every day. But every time I catch myself doing that, I try to honor that feeling, but gently come back to the present moment. And again, no, this is where I am right now. When we're always trying to fast forward through difficult seasons or circumstances, we aren't just fast forwarding through the hard parts. We're fast forwarding through our lives. We're fast forwarding through the lessons that are here for us. So the truth is, there will always be something we're waiting for if we let ourselves live that way. When work slows down, when we hire somebody else, when the kids get older, when I lose weight, when life feels less stressful, when this and this and this, there can always be a thing that we are waiting for. If we aren't careful, then we spend our whole lives waiting for a future version of life instead of fully experiencing the one we're living right now. Because if we do that, whatever we're waiting for, there's going to be something else in that time that we could say the same thing about, right? If we wait, then there's always going to be something that we're waiting for. Now, this doesn't mean that we have to love every circumstance or love everything that's happening. It simply means to choose to be present with it, to maybe feel that discomfort, to see what it's here for. What is this discomfort helping me learn about myself? And I'm going to talk a little bit more about that in this episode of what that has looked like for me. And hopefully it can help you with whatever season you're in. Redefining productivity has been something I've been noticing. So, this surgery has taken a lot of energy, and there's still healing that's going on. Everything that I do takes a little bit more energy because I don't have use of that arm. So, even simple tasks require more planning. Laundry, getting dressed, cooking, cleaning, just normal everyday things take a little bit more time, a little bit more effort. Everything just takes longer. I try to remind myself my body is doing an incredible amount of healing right now, and healing is work. Healing takes energy, and it's productive, even if maybe it doesn't look productive. I've also been pleasantly surprised by what I can do, what I've figured out how to do. I've been walking a couple miles most days. I found some ways to do some workouts that work within my restriction. I've been working with my physical therapist on how to come up with some things that I can do. I figured out ways to adapt to many of my normal routines. And I know that it's not looking the same as it normally does, and that's okay. Progress doesn't always look necessarily the way we imagined it would. And I think learning to adjust and adapt to things is such a big lesson, and it just supports our life and loving our life even when things don't go as planned. The second big thing has been learning to receive. I have so many wonderful friends and family who have offered to and done so many nice things for me. Um, the big one is organizing meals for after surgery. Um, and I can be completely honest with you, my first reaction wasn't gratitude, it was guilt. I felt guilty. I felt like, oh my gosh, there's no way I can accept people making meals for me. I thought people don't need to do that. I don't want to inconvenience anyone. I can figure something out. But then I stopped myself because I realized that I would be the first person to joyfully sign up to make a meal for somebody who was in the same situation. And I always find it interesting just to reflect a little bit. Why is it so hard for me to believe that other people might feel the same way, that they're doing this because they want to be helpful and they want to show up? These meals ended up being such a gift, not just because they fed us, but because it reminded me that allowing people to help is actually a gift to them as well. There's this reciprocity when you are receiving and giving, when you know how to give and you know how to receive. If you know me, then you probably know that I'm pretty independent. I like to do things for myself. And throughout this process, I have worked really hard to figure out what I can do safely myself. Not because I don't appreciate help, but because it's important to me to maintain as much independence as I can. So I talk in physical therapy about if there's something I want to do, how to do it safely. And my husband has been absolutely wonderful. I cannot give him enough props in this. And he does. He wants to help with everything. And I have had to tell him, like, I promise I will ask when I need help. There are many things that I do need help with. And so I will ask when I need those things. But if I can do it by myself, if I can do something for myself, I really need to do it. I think this experience has reminded me that strength isn't doing everything for myself, right? There are some things that I can't do, but I know that doing what I can and then being honest about asking for what I need help with has been really important. Another thing I've been trying to do is to celebrate small wins. So that looks like some interesting and kind of funny things for me. So I'll give you an example. One of my favorite moments just happened the other night. For the first time since my surgery, I made myself 2 fried eggs for dinner. Now, a couple months ago, making 2 fried eggs for myself would not have even landed on my radar as something to be proud of myself for. But I don't know, mastering is not the right word. Just doing it with one hand, my left hand is the one I have to do it with, which is not my dominant hand. I was really happy with it. Now, they weren't beautiful, okay? They weren't anything I was gonna win an award for, and I did have to pick some eggshells out of it, but I made them, and I was proud of those 2 little fried eggs. And here's where some vulnerability can help with connection, is I texted a picture to my supper club and joked about it, and the responses I got back were so encouraging. I mean, people celebrating me making 2 fried eggs really just felt so good. It brought a smile to my face. So I think it's remembering these little things are really big things, right? So I hope that you are encouraged to share some small wins with whatever it is that you're going through right now. Share some small wins and celebrate those along the way. Vulnerability creates connection. This is something that I go back to over and over again. This little fried egg story reminds me of this. Sharing that tiny victory, like, opened this door for people to celebrate alongside me. Sometimes, we wait till we have everything figured out or perfect before we let people into our lives. But when I share these small victories and struggles, it creates connection with others. So, some things that I've been enjoying this month. Since I've had a little more downtime than usual, my husband and I finally finished. We kind of made this pact before my surgery that we would utilize this extra downtime to binge watch, finish watching Homeland, which is a series we've been watching for a while. And so we did. We finished it, and yay, we are done. And I absolutely love how it ended. If you have watched it, and I know this is an old show, and so you might be like, Faith, yeah, I watched that like 10 years ago. But if you have watched it, I would love to hear from you because now my husband and I are like, we want to talk to somebody else who's seen this show because we just really loved how it ended. My daughter came over and we watched Voicemails for Isabel on Netflix. It was such a sweet movie. If you're looking for something really cute and heartwarming, I definitely recommend it. I've also been spending some extra time reading. I went and got this kind of like lap pillow that holds my Kindle, and that has been really helpful during this time because I can put my Kindle or my phone on it, and then I have a free hand, my only hand that's free, to turn the pages or do what I need to do on it. Okay. I feel like that was a pretty good wrap up of July. And you know what? I do want to share a couple more things. Some things that have been helpful for me this month. My neighbor is a hairdresser, and so I reached out to her after my surgery and asked if she could wash and dry my hair twice a week. And she's been doing that, and it's been absolutely wonderful and so helpful. I also had a friend encourage me to schedule some fun things for myself during this time. And so I did that this last week. I went to Bella Spa here in Lincoln and had a pedicure, and it was absolutely wonderful. So I would say, like, here's another reminder and something that has been reinforced during this time is have things that you're looking forward to on your calendar. Have things that you're looking forward to on your calendar. I think we all need something to be looking forward to. So, okay, now let's move on to, closing out July, welcoming in August. And I encourage you to also pause before jumping into this next month. If you were listening to this before August 5th, then I would love to invite you into the planning workshop that I have going on. You'll see the details in the show notes, but here's a couple just things to keep in mind. If you can't come to that, or if it's past that when you're listening, instead of just flipping the calendar and just keeping going, taking a few minutes to reflect. So I'm going to give you about 5 prompts to help you do that. What am I grateful for from July? What lessons do I want to carry into August? What do I want to leave behind? How do I want August to feel? And what's one small action or habit that would help create that feeling? Okay. For me, I want to carry forward presence. I want to continue celebrating small wins. I'm still going to be in this sling for the majority of August. I want to remember that healing isn't something to rush and continue to just be in it. And I want to continue allowing myself to receive. I will include these questions, or these reflection questions, in the show notes. So if you didn't get a chance to write them down or you aren't in a place to do that, they will be there for you. And again, I want to invite you in to this real life monthly planning session. It's going to be on Wednesday, August 5th on the lunch hour. And so think of it as a lunch and learn to help create your month. And really, it's one of my favorite things we do each month. And this is included within the Love Your Real Life membership, but you can just come to this single session. But it's so important because it's not about creating this big to-do list. It's about reflecting on where you've been, looking at those 8 areas of your life, the holistic health and life wheel, and deciding what matters most this coming month, creating a realistic plan that supports the life you want to live. And I'd love to have you there. Before we wrap up, I want to leave you with a few thoughts. As I look back on July, I realized it wasn't the month that I would have totally planned or chosen, especially a couple months ago. But I know that I also wouldn't trade the lessons. I'm continually reminded that loving my real life doesn't mean loving every circumstance, but it does mean choosing to be fully present in the life that is here. Even the unexpected parts, especially the unexpected parts. I would love to hear if this episode resonated with you, sharing whatever you feel comfortable with, reaching out to me. You can find the ways to connect with me in the show notes. And I just appreciate you spending this time with me. If this episode encouraged you, I'd love you to share it with a friend or leave a review. It really helps more women discover the podcast and become part of this community. Until next time, I hope you continue finding ways to love your real life. Have a wonderful August. Thank you so much for listening to the Love Your Real Life podcast. I hope that today's episode was just what you needed. Be sure to subscribe to the podcast so you never miss an episode. And if you're looking for more support, check out the show notes for how to connect. Remember, no matter what your story holds, you are worthy of living a life that you love. Talk to you soon.